Hello and welcome to the Let's Create Art Paint Along. Today we are going to be doing a texture painting. It is kind of an abstract, glittery, really cool, modern styled piece of art. You will be using a pumice gel medium to begin with, which is in your little cups like this. It is the same stuff that you would use on a pumice stone for your rough skin patches. It's an exfoliator, but this is in the form of like a wet paste, but as it dries it will harden really hard, which makes the stone that you use to exfoliate with. So this is going to be a process. To begin with, we're going to lay down our texture and then we have to wait and let it dry. I recommend 24 hours just to be on the safe side that it's fully dry, but you'll know whenever you feel it if it's squishy or not. If it's really hard like a rock, then it's dry. If it's squishy at all, then it's not dry. And we always wait 24 hours before painting on top of it. If it's not dry and you go to paint on top of it, then it just picks up the chunk, your texture, and then you lose the whole effect. This is part one, and we are going to lay the texture down. We'll let it dry, and then we're gonna do the painting, and then the very last part is adding on the sparkly glitter. So to begin with, we are going to take our pumice, and this is just a plastic knife. If you have a palette knife or a spatula, something you would use drywall with, anything works just fine. For this purposes, we're just going to use a plastic knife, and I'm going to just dump it out. And I don't want to cover the entire canvas with this. I just want to do the kind of about halfway, maybe a little higher than halfway down. And you can use this in any way you want. If you wanted to just go zigzag across the middle, you could do that. You could do like coming in from the side. You can make a design. We've done some really cool angel wings, like mountains. It's really neat, and you can really use it for anything. So I'm just taking the knife, and it's like buttering bread or icing a cake, really. We want to go all the way up to the edge of the canvas, and we want the texture to be thicker. This is kind of messy, so you might want to have something underneath you wherever you're doing it. It'll stay wet, so you can clean it up right away. If you just for easy non-cleaning purposes, you may want to have your surface protected or do it outside, somewhere where you don't mind getting it. Okay, so I have it right along the edge of the canvas, and I want it to be thicker up there. And as we go along, we're going to notice that it really starts just kind of attaching to our knife. If it does, just kind of wipe it off on the side of your cup and then pick up some more. And you can plop out more from your second cup if you need to. So now we have it on the top. We're gonna just work it down, and you'll see, like, as you go and you scrape, that you start creating ridges. We want some like tall, like thick textured areas, and then we want it to just go out to like a really fine sprinkle. So just work it however you want. The thicker the texture, the longer it's going to take to dry, but also the more of a ridge you're going to get in your texture. And you make the design however you want. I'm going to go kind of off of our original example and just kind of do more of like a dripping diamond rain effect. And it doesn't dry fast, so you have plenty of time to work with it, so don't feel like you're, hurrying to get it on before it dries. It's not going to dry up on you. And you can make your texture however you want, like if you want sideways slashes or whatever you want. You want to be careful not to poke through your canvas. So just kind of drag it along. And then you need some more. Put some more on. And if you have like a spoon, you can use a spoon to get a different kind of texture. And it's okay to have some bare canvas coming through too. And I want mine to end kind of in like peaks. So I'm just gonna pull it down. So the idea is to have it kind of thicker here and then just really like very thin raining down. All right. And you can just kind of work with it. And then if you decide like, oh my gosh, I don't like this at all, I should have done it completely different, scrape it all up, put it back in your container, and then go for it again. It doesn't dry, so you're not committed to it until tomorrow. Okay, I am gonna leave mine like this. I have some really high, thick areas, and then I have some really low areas. And that's gonna create some really cool texture. And I'm just gonna pull up and get some of these little more drippy areas going. And then I'm going to just leave it flat to dry for about 24 hours, and then we'll come back and do the painting and the glittering part, and that is the defining moments. So this is just a fun part to play around with, and then tomorrow we're gonna make it pull it all together and make it something amazing. And then if you didn't put something down and you got it around your area, make sure you clean that off, or you're gonna end up having some extra concrete spots dried into your flooring. Okay, so there is part 1, and we will be back with part 2 as soon as this fully dries. Okay, so welcome to part 2 of our texture glitter art project. So at this point, your texture should be completely dry and hard to touch. It should not be squishy or movable at all. It should pretty much feel like a rock if you touch it, and your canvas should move whenever you push on the texture. You want to make sure it's completely dry before you go to paint on it, or you will lift up the top and lose your texture altogether. So we're going to use 2 colors. We're going to use a white cream on the bottom, and then we're going to use a darker brown on the top. We're going to pull a little bit of the brown down into our white and kind of give it a little bit of a fade blend down in there very lightly, so it'll look like the texture, the glitter art is kind of just dripping and raining down into our painting. So to begin with, we're going to start with our white, and we're going to just fill all of this bottom area in. So a lot of times people ask, why would we paint this white if it's already white? Well, you paint it white because it's just raw fabric, and the raw fabric will attract dust and dirt, and then once it gets on the fabric, it just doesn't come off. So if you put a layer of paint down, it adds a protection and glue covering over top of your canvas, and so any kind of dirt or grime or dust over time, you can wash it off way easier than it's soaking into the fabric. So we're just completely covering, and I'm just kind of going up into the middle of these peaks here. And if it gets a little bit on the texture, that's fine. And I'm doing really long, smooth brush strokes. So I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure down on my brush. And if there's any like clumps of paint or ridges of paint down here in the bottom, just go ahead and smooth it out with a paintbrush that doesn't have, like, just don't load your paintbrush with any more paint and just smooth out what you have. And you can also do that if you have any kind of brush bristle lines going through there that you don't like. And then also do the edges of the canvas, because we need to cover those. They're probably going to be the spot of your art that gets the dirtiest. So go ahead and protect those now. And then I'm just going right back over all this really lightly and smoothing it out. So now we have our white down on the bottom. We're gonna go in with our brown, our taupe color, and we're gonna go all over the top texture. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you're getting all the way in all the cracks. So these brushes work really well to really just kind of like rub it in. And go ahead and change your position or rotate your canvas around as you're doing this, because you'll find that you like can't see on the side of that bubble, and then when you move you're like, oh, that's all white. So the key here is to get this pretty all the way coated with the taupe dark color. That is going to be your shadow underneath all of our glitter and our highlights. So we want that all the way filled in with our taupe. And then right here is wet. So as we're doing this and we're running out of paint on the brush, I hold my brush all the way at the back and I just really lightly just run it down. And this is going to help you get that dripping look. So it'll be kind of like a transition. Like there's a little bit of some here and then it goes lighter. And you decide how far you want to pull your dripping down. And then we can go back with the white. Like say, like I decided, oh no, that's too much. That's just like a straight line. Just go back with a clean brush and kind of blend it back. So really light touch. And then make sure that your stroke goes all the way off the canvas and up the canvas. That way it looks like it's really smooth. And you can do that in sections if you want. So as this is wet and that is wet, just kind of drip it down as you use the paint on the brush. So this is why it's important to have that area, that texture really dry, because as we're scrubbing in and out, if it was wet, we would just chip off all of that texture. Some people say that this gives them an arm workout. So right now, you're probably thinking like, ooh, I don't know about this. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but I don't know about this. Don't worry. We're gonna glitter it up and then it's gonna be shining and sparkly. This is a really fun abstract. You can change the colors to be different colors. You could change the texture to go in different ways, or maybe yours is going in a completely different way. That is the beauty of this. There really is no wrong or no right, and it really isn't gonna look the same the first time you do it compared to the last time you do it, and each time You're gonna find a new way that you like. All right. So you can see here how it's soft and blended, and then right here is really choppy. So I'm gonna go back with my white, and I'm just gonna kind of blend up into it and pull just little bits down. And remember, I am not pushing hard at all on my brush. I'm just letting the bristles of the brush do the pulling. And paint covers paint. So if you get to a point and you're like, oh man, this is like too much, then the best thing you can do is stop, blow dry it, and then come back and try it again. So then the paint will just kind of layer right over. And you can rotate your brush to be the big side, or you can rotate it to be a more narrow pull. Okay, so at this point, when you get your texture completely covered with the brown and you have your blend down here how you like it, you are going to blow dry it really well. All right, so after you are blow dried, we are going to highlight the top of our texture with white paint. So it's gonna kind of look like snow caps sitting on top of a mountain. And to do that, we are gonna use a tool called a palette knife. So this is the back flat side. That is the side we're going to load the paint on. I always say it's a lot like icing a cake. So you would use the flat side of the knife or the icing tool, and you would really lightly just kind of lay it on, and you'll keep your palette knife flat. So we're going to take our palette knife into our pile of white, and you'll load it on the back. And so the more that's on there, the thicker the blob is going to be. The less you have on there, the thinner the blob is going to be. And the trick here is to just running it right across the top of the texture, just like that. So you can kind of see how it really just highlights the top of the texture parts that we laid. And I'm not trying to go in any cracks and crevices. I really want to use that dark brown back there as a shadow. So the white is going to be like the highlight on the top of the texture and the rocks, and then the dark is going to be like the shadow, and then we're going to put all the glitter in between. And then be careful not to stab your canvas. You can go slowly, you can go faster, it's up to you. And just keep your palette knife flat so that you only are hitting the texture ridges and not completely covering all the spaces. Alright, so if at this point, if you got any areas down here, then you can use your paintbrush and smooth any of that out. And if all of your textured tops are highlighted with the white, then we are going to do the third part, which is the glitter sparkle part. So you want to make sure that you are completely done with painting and with the highlights, and you have all of the edges painted and all of the bottom parts the way that you like it. And we are going to lay the glitter inside. I'll bring you a little bit closer so you can see exactly what my texture looks like at this point. So really just on the top. And then this is the brushed part. All right, so we're gonna go and blow dry, and then we'll come back and do the last step, which is all the glitter. And you want to make sure that it is completely dry so the glitter doesn't stick in the wrong spots. Okay, so this is part 3. This is where we're gonna add all the glitter and the shine to it. But you can choose how much glitter and shine you want. Some people like it really coated, like it's like dripping diamonds. And some people like just little bits of highlights and accent. So you can completely choose how much you want to do. The way that the glitter sticks is by glue, just regular glue. And so you're gonna use your little container and a brush, and then you're just gonna kind of put the, okay, so you're gonna use your little container and a brush, and then you're just gonna brush on the glue in between. So we don't want it on top where we put the white. We want the glitter to go in between crevices. And you don't have to, if you want a lot of glitter, then you're going to want to really fill all those in-between spots in with your glue. If you want just a little bit of glitter, like shimmery markings, but you don't want the whole thing looking like it's dripping diamonds, then don't fill in as much area with the glue. So wherever the glue is where the glitter sticks. So whatever is wet is going to be where the glitter sticks. So that is going to really determine, like, how much glue you put on is going to really determine how much glitter you're going to have on your art. And we want to go all the way in between and try to avoid our top highlight spots with the white. And I always say to move as fast as you can, because the glue does eventually start drying, and you really want it to adhere where you want it to be. And you can kind of drip it out. You won't be able to see the glue on the paint necessarily. Just guesstimate where you're going to put it. And then you can kind of choose, a lot of people like to just mix all of the colors together and then put them on. Or you can kind of try to sprinkle little bits at a time on. And you'll also want to have something underneath. This is a piece of paper. So when I'm done, we're going to dump it over and dump off the excess glitter that is sitting on our canvas that didn't adhere to any glue spots. So make sure you have something underneath you to catch all the glitter. This part can be kind of messy. Alright, so I pretty much have glue on. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little bit of gold. It's kind of like shaking salt, just a little bit. And then I'm going to put the silver And then you can go back and put a little more of whatever color you want. And then after we dump, we can reuse what's left over that didn't stick. We can add some more glue. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of shift it around and then lift it up and dump off. And there we have it. So if there's a little bit of a bare spot right there, I'll just go back and put a little more glue there. And then put some, I can put some more glitter on it. In any other areas where you feel like, oh, I really wanted it to kind of drip down or something, just add a little bit more. And then if you get any areas and you're like, oh, that's too much, that's a big glob of glitter, I didn't want it there, just scrape it off. It'll scrape. And then the very last step, if you accidentally covered up your mountain peaks here with the glitter and they're really not standing out anymore, go back to your white paint and just hit the very top of all of your texture marks, and it will bring them back to the forefront again. So there you have it. You have a complete texture, one-of-a-kind piece of abstract art. We hope you guys enjoyed this 3-step process, and we are confident that yours looks amazing, and we want to see what you made. So make sure that you send us a picture of your glitter texture art, and we will see you again on the next tutorial.